beautiful. Jai Sachi Devi.
Jai Saraswati Devi ki jai. Om Akyanati Mirandasya Kyanangina Salakaya Sakshur Militanyena Tasma Sri Kurve Namaha Vanchakalpatarupyascha Kripasindupya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Karatrise Namaha. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila Chapter 2, The Chastisement of Junior Haridas. Seeing Srikanta Sen, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed causeless mercy upon him. Srikanta Sen stayed near Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for about 2 months at Jagannath Puri. Okay, we read that yesterday. The next page. My dear Lord, you are one with Jagannath, therefore I have no objection to your eating his offering. But why are you touching the offering for Lord Nishingadev? I think that Nishingadev could not eat anything today, and therefore he is fasting. If the master fasts, how can the servant live? Although Nishinga Brahmachari felt jubilation within his heart to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eating everything for the sake of Lord Nishingadev, he externally expressed disappointment. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Therefore, there is no difference between him, Lord Jagannath, and Lord Nishingadev. Pradyumna Brahmachari was deeply eager to understand this fact. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed it to him by a practical demonstration. After eating all the offerings, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started for Panihati. There he was greatly satisfied to see the different varieties of vegetables prepared in the house of Raghava. Shivananda said to Nishingananda, "Why are you expressing dismay?" Nishingananda replied, "Just see the behavior of your Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He alone has eaten the offerings for all 3 deities. Because of this, both Jagannath and Nishingadev remain fasting." When Shivananda Sen heard this statement, he was unsure whether Nishingananda Brahmachari was speaking that way because of ecstatic love or because it was actually a fact. When Shivananda Sen was thus perplexed, Nishingananda Brahmachari said to him, "Bring more food, let me cook again for Lord Nishingadev." Then Shivananda Sen again brought the ingredients with which to cook, and Pradyumna Brahmachari again cooked and offered the food to Nishingadev. The next year, Shivananda went to Jagannath Puri with all the other devotees to see the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One day, in the presence of all the devotees, the Lord raised these topics concerning Nishingananda Brahmachari and praised his transcendental qualities. The Lord said, "Last year in the month of Posha, when Nishingananda gave me varieties of sweetmeats and vegetables to eat, they were so good that I felt I had never eaten before such preparation." Hearing this, all the devotees were struck with wonder, and Shivananda became confident that the incident was true. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to eat at the temple of Sachi Mata every day and also visit the house of Srivas Thakur when Kirtan was performed. Similarly, he was always present when Nityananda Prabhu danced, and he regularly appeared at the house of Raghava. Lord Gaurasundar is greatly influenced by the love of his devotees. Therefore, wherever there is pure devotion to the Lord himself, subdued by such love, appears and his devotees see him. Influenced by the loving affairs of Shivananda Sen, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came again and again. Therefore, who can estimate the limits of his love? Thus I have described the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone who hears about these incidents can understand the transcendental opulence of the Lord. At Jagannath Puri, in the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, lived Bhagavan Acharya, who was certainly a gentleman, a learned scholar, and a great devotee. He was fully absorbed in thoughts of fraternal relationships with God. He was an incarnation of a cowherd boy, and thus his dealings with Swarup Damodar Goswami were very friendly. He sought the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet with full surrender. Sometimes he would invite the Lord to dine at his home. Bhagavan Acharya prepared varieties of rice and vegetables at home and brought the Lord there alone to eat. Bhagavan Acharya's father, whose name was Satananda Khan, was an expert statesman, whereas Bhagavan Acharya was not at all interested in the management of the state. Indeed, he was almost in the renounced order of life. Bhagavan Acharya's brother, whose name was Gopal Bhattacharya, had studied Vedanta philosophy at Benares and had then returned to Bhagavan Acharya's home. Bhagavan Acharya took his brother to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the Lord, knowing that Gopal Bhattacharya was a Mayavadi philosopher, could not get much happiness from meeting him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu derives no happiness from meeting one who is not a pure devotee of Krishna. Thus, because Gopala Bhattacharya was a Mayavadi scholar, the Lord felt no jubilation in meeting him. Nevertheless, because Gopal Bhattacharya was related to Bhagavan Acharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu feigned pleasure in seeing him. Bhagavan Acharya said to Swarup Damodar, "Gopal, my younger brother, has returned to my home, having concluded his study of Vedanta philosophy." Bhagavan Acharya requested Swarup Damodar Goswami to hear from Gopal the commentary about Vedanta. Swarup Damodar, however, somewhat angry because of love, spoke as follows: "You have lost your intelligence in the association of Gopal, and therefore you are eager to hear the Mayavadi philosophy. When a Vaishnava listens to this Sariraka Bhashya, the Mayavadi commentary upon the Vedanta Sutra, he gives up the Krishna-conscious attitude that the Lord is the master and the living entity is his servant. Instead, he considers himself the Supreme Lord. The Mayavadi philosophy presents such a jugglery of words that even a highly elevated devotee who has accepted Krishna as his life and soul changes his decision when he reads the Mayavada commentary on the Vedanta Sutra." In spite of Swarup Damodar's protest, Bhagavan Acharya continued, "We are all fixed at the lotus feet of Krishna with our hearts and soul. Therefore the Saririka Bhashya cannot change our minds." Swarup Damodar replied, "Nevertheless, when we hear the Mayavadi philosophy, we hear that Brahman is knowledge and that the universe of Maya is false, but we gain no spiritual understanding. The Mayavada philosophers try to establish that the living entity is only imaginary and that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is under the influence of Maya. Hearing this kind of commentary breaks the heart and life of a devotee." Thus Bhagavan Acharya, greatly ashamed and fearful, remained silent. The next day he asked Gopal Bhattacharya to return to his own district. One day Bhagavan Acharya invited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to dine at his home. Thus he was preparing rice and various types of vegetables. A devotee named Chota Haridas used to sing for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhagavan Acharya called him to his home and spoke as follows. Please go to the sister of Sikhi Mahiti. In my name, ask her for a manna of white rice and bring it here. Sikhi Mahiti's sister was named Madhavi Devi. She was an elderly lady who always performed austerities. She was very advanced in devotional service. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted her as having formerly been an associate of Srimati Radharani. In the entire world, 3.5 people were his intimate devotees. The three were Swarup Damodar Goswami, Ramananda Roy, and Sikhi Mahiti, and the half a person was Sikhi Mahiti's sister. After begging the rice from her, Junior Haridas brought it to Bhagavan Acharya, who was very pleased to see its quality. In great affection, Bhagavan Acharya cooked varieties of vegetables and other preparations dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He also obtained remnants of food from Lord Jagannath and digestive aids such as ground ginger and also lime with salt. At noon, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to eat the offerings of Bhagavan Acharya, he first appreciated the fine rice and therefore questioned him. Where did you get such fine rice? The Lord asked. Bhagavan Acharya replied, I got it by begging from Madhavi Devi. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked who had begged this rice and brought it back, Bhagavan Acharya mentioned the name of Junior Haridas. Praising the quality of the rice, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu partook of the prasadam. Then, after returning to his residence, he gave the following order to Govinda, his personal assistant. From this day forward, do not allow Choto Haridas to come here. When Junior Haridas heard that he had been ordered not to approach Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was very unhappy. No one could understand why he had been ordered not to come. Haridas fasted continuously for 3 days. Then Swarup Damodar Goswami and other confidential devotees approached Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to inquire from him. What great offense has Junior Haridas committed? Why has he been forbidden to come to your door? He has now been fasting for 3 days. Yeah. I read it again. What great offense has Junior Haridas committed? Why has he been forbidden to come to your door? He has now been fasting for 3 days. The Lord replied, I cannot tolerate seeing the face of a person who has accepted the renounced order of life, but who still talks intimately with a woman. So strongly do the senses adhere to the objects of their enjoyment that indeed a wooden statue of a woman attracts the mind of even a great saintly person. One should not sit closely with one's mother, sister, or daughter, for the senses are so strong that they may attract even a person advanced in knowledge. There are many persons with little in their possessions who accept the renounced order of life like monkeys. They go here and there, engaging in sense gratification and speaking intimately with women. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered his room. Seeing him in such an angry mood, all the devotees fell silent. The next day, all the devotees together approached the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to submit an appeal on behalf of Junior Haridas. Haridas has committed a small offense, they said. Therefore, O Lord, please be merciful to him. Now he has received a sufficient lesson. In the future, he will not commit such an offense. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My mind is not under my control. It does not like to see anyone in the renounced order who talks intimately with women. You should all tend to your respective engagement. Give up this useless talk. If you speak this way again, I shall go away, and you will no longer see me here." Hearing this, all the devotees covered their ears with their hands, got up and went about their respective duties. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also left that place to perform his noon duties. No one could understand his pastimes. The next day, all the devotees went to Paramananda Puri and requested him to pacify the Lord. Paramananda Puri thereupon went alone to the residence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord, after offering him obeisances, seated him by his side with great respect. The Lord inquired, "What is your order? For what purpose have you come here?" Paramananda Puri then submitted his prayer that the Lord show favor to Junior Haridas. Hearing this request, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "My dear Lord, please hear me. It is better for you to stay here with all the Vaishnavas. Please give me permission to go to Alalanath. I shall remain here alone. Only Govinda will go with me." After saying this, the Lord called for Govinda. Offering obeisances to Paramananda Puri, he got up and began to leave. In great haste, Paramananda Puri Gosai went before him and with great humility persuaded him to sit down in his room. Paramananda Puri said, "My dear Lord Chaitanya, you are the independent personality of Godhead. You can do whatever you like. Who can say anything above you? All your activities are for the benefit of people in general. We cannot understand them, for your intentions are deep and grave." After saying this, Paramananda Puri Gosai left for his own home. Then all the devotees went to see Junior Haridas. Swarup Damodar Gosai said, "Please hear us, Haridas, for we all wish you well. Please believe this." At present, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is persisting in his mood of anger, because he is the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead. At some time, however, he will surely be merciful, for at heart he is very kind. The Lord is persisting, and if you also persist, his persistence will increase. It is better for you to bathe and take prasadam. In due course, his anger will automatically subside. Having said this, Swarup Damodar Goswami induced Haridas to bathe and take prasadam. After thus reassuring him, he returned home. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Lord Jagannath in the temple, Haridas would stay a long distance away and see him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the ocean of mercy. Who can understand him? When he chastises his dear devotees, he certainly does so to re-establish the principles of religion or duty. After all the devotees saw this example, a mentality of fear grew among them. Therefore they all stopped talking with women, even in dreams. In this way, a complete year passed for Junior Haridas, but still there was not a sign of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy towards him. Thus, at the end of one night, Junior Haridas, after offering Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu his respectful obeisances, departed for Prayag without saying anything to anyone. Junior Haridas had conclusively decided to attain shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus he entered deep into the water of Triveni, the confluence of the Ganges and Jamuna at Prayag, and in this way gave up his life. Immediately after committing suicide in this way, he went in his spiritual body to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and received the mercy of the Lord. However, he still remained invisible. In a spiritual body resembling that of a Gandharva, Junior Haridas, although invisible, would sing at night for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to hear. No one but the Lord, however, knew of this. One day Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from the devotees, "Where is Haridas? Now you may bring him here." The devotees all replied, "One night at the end of a full year, Junior Haridas got up and went away. No one knows where he has gone." While hearing the devotees lament, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was mildly smiling. Thus all the devotees were very much astonished. One day Jagadananda Swarup, Govinda, Kashishvara, Shankara, Damodar and Mukunda all went to bathe in the sea. They could hear Haridas singing from a distant place, as if calling them in his original voice. No one could see him, but they could hear him singing in a sweet voice. Therefore all the devotees headed by Govinda made this guess. Haridas must have committed suicide by drinking poison, and because of this sinful act, he has now become a Brahmana ghost. We cannot see his material form, they said, but still we hear his sweet singing. Therefore he must have become a ghost. Swarup Damodar, however, protested. This is a false guess. Junior Haridas chanted the Hare Krishna mantra throughout his entire life and served the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Moreover, he is dear to the Lord and has died in a holy place. Haridas cannot have been degraded. He must have attained liberation. This is a pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's. You will all understand it later. A devotee returned to Navadvip from Prayag and told everyone the details of Junior Haridas' suicide. He explained how Junior Haridas had made his resolution and has thus entered the waters at the confluence of the Jamuna and Ganges. Hearing these details, Srivas Thakur and the other devotees were very surprised. At the end of the year, Shivananda Sen came to Jagannath Puri as usual, accompanied by the other devotees, and thus in great happiness met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Srivas Thakur inquired from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "Where is Junior Haridas?" the Lord replied, "A person is sure to achieve the results of his fruitive activities." Then Srivas Thakur related the details of Haridas' decision and his entering the waters at the confluence of the Ganges and Jamuna. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard these details, he smiled in a pleased mood and said, "If with sensual intention one looks at women, this is the only process of atonement." Then all the devotees headed by Swarup Damodar Goswami concluded that because Haridas had committed suicide at the confluence of the rivers Ganges and Jamuna, he must have ultimately attained shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jai. We stop here and read further tomorrow. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Jai Antya Lila Chapter 2, The Chastisement of Junior Haridas Ki Jai. Jai Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Vatsila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hari Yadaya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudana Giridhari Gopinath Namaha Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Kadadara Sivasari Tora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Rupa Sanatana Bhattara